Hi Alejandra, how are you?
Hola, Rachel. I'm good.
So in a movie like this, it is kind of the meat of this movie is the build up to something that like many of us, especially those of us who love space, kind of know. And so when you're dealing with a movie like that, where a lot of it is just like the inspiration that this man kind of had with NASA and how he wanted to really commit to something this big, where do you find the moments of like building that up and making it so interesting? Because this movie engages us, but it's when you look at it on paper, is about his journey there and not like about his actual space career.
I love doing films in which you know what the ending is going to be. I think that frees and gives you the possibility to focus on the hows and
Hmm.
not the whats. I think that's an opportunity. I think whenever you can um, just focus on the life and the experience. Yeah, I think that's more interesting. You don't have the tension of what's gonna happen, and you can focus on the characters and the concepts.
Yeah, and you also have such an incredible cast because like Michael Pena is one of the most interesting actors because a lot of us know him because he's very funny, but then when you get to see him be these more serious roles and like a guy who is just trying to make his dreams come true, it's really kind of fascinating to see how he can switch that on as a performer. And what was it like working with him to kind of build out Jose and make him both and like a character while honoring the real man that inspired the movie?
I think that was a tough thing that he had to go through because having Jose, close, he was close to the project and to us, so we had him as a reference. But also, I think Michael felt and myself felt very free, to create whatever we wanted with that character. And I think Michael, being a Mexican American, was pivotal to this expression that he wanted to bring to the screen. And I remember him getting inspiration from, I don't know, his young son's friend, and talking me about how this guy moved and talked. And so it was funny, and it was a very, very nice experience. I really love Michael.
And there are such like cute is maybe the wrong word, but there are like such sweet scenes in this movie. Like I love when the teacher comes to his house and he is just like basically berating his parents in front of this woman because he's like, "Oh, well, they don't speak English and she doesn't speak Spanish. I can like say whatever I want and pretend it's her." But then to see her towards the end kind of have this like still connection to this child is really sweet. And was it important for you as a filmmaker to find those moments where we get to see the people who like rallied behind him even though he had this what was seemingly impossible dream?
Yeah, I mean, I think the important thing for me was to portray the community behind this successful man, and how not only his partner, but his family and his school teacher community, no, country were behind him, because that's anyone's success has to do with the whole bunch of people who had walked with you your whole life and your own experiences. So I think the teacher, being a migrant herself, was important to the film and
Hmm.
to Jose's family's decision.
Yeah, and I just loved all like that moment. I don't know why. I just like really loved that. But like I do kind of I am fascinated by like not knowing what goes into like the space program training. And like this is one of the first times I think ever in a movie we see the actual training of like you have to be able to scuba dive because that's what it's gonna feel like with everything on you and things like that. What was the most interesting thing that you learned while kind of going through the process of like highlighting how the training and application for the space program works?
No, you're right. You have to be a high performance athlete, and you have to be a scientist, and then you have to
Hmm.
be an emotionally balanced person, etc., etc., etc. So when I thought about all this, I thought this is an actual superhero. This
Mm-hmm.
is a superhero, like in a real life superhero having superpowers, because I mean every single aspect of the requirements is super tough, but having all of them in one person.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot. Like I don't know if you can see, but I have an astronaut on my arm. Like I love
Ah,
space, but I could never do this. And like seeing it kind of laid out as it was with someone who like it takes him what I think it was 12 times to get
yeah.
anywhere near the program is so cool to kind of see. And so for you, what do you hope people take away when they get to see a million miles away?
Well, I guess it's several things, but I would say, as I was saying, that tenacity is a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
No? If you can overcome 11 rejection letters and be willing to apply again, phew, that takes a lot of stubbornness and tenacity, and I think that's invaluable.
Yeah, it's the when he walked up and was like, I figured I'd hand it in this time. I was just like, the energy that has, I don't have. It's like, I don't have that. And one last quick question with this though, it is like you said, we know the outcome, but it is still such a fun journey to kind of see where Jose was as a kid, working with his family, into like how he became this man in the space program. What is something that you learned either from Jose himself or just from this journey that is going to stay with you after the movie has come out and people have gotten to see it?
Well, I was dealing with my first experience doing a feature in English. This was my first English
Mm-hmm.
language. I was going into, the big offices and everything, and whenever I felt I wasn't being confident enough, or, I doubted myself, I kept reminding me that Jose had done exactly that, but walking into NASA, so
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't as important as, and that really made me feel better. And so I guess it's a privilege to have a material in front of you that actually inspires you and changes your life. So
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. It's such a sweet movie, and I really can't wait for people to get to see it and get to see this journey come to life.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a great one.